Shogun is out in full on Disney Plus, new adaptation of the classic James Clavell novel under the same title, which is actually one of my favorite books of all time. So I was very excited for this miniseries. 10 episodes around 1 hour each, starring Cosmo Jarvis, Anna Sawai, Tadanobu Asano and Hiroyuki Sanada. The story is historical fiction, which is loosely based on the real events and real characters from history. Early 17th century, a Dutch ship with an English pilot, John Blackthorne, crashes at the shores of Japan, which at the time was controlled by Portuguese in terms of Western trade routes. They were the only European country that was traveling there, that was trading with Japan. Blackthorne intends to establish alternative trade routes for Netherlands, for England, and make money for himself while also cutting down the hated Catholics. However, he is captured by the forces of Yoshii Toranaga, a powerful daimyo who is at that moment trying to consolidate power, become stronger than his rival Ishido, who controls the Regent Council, and perhaps, although it's of course never spoken out loud, he would like to become Shogun, the military dictator of the entire country. Blackthorne himself, as well as his ship and weapons, become an important piece in the game that is being played, and so with the help of a Catholic converted Japanese woman named Mariko, who translates between Portuguese and Japanese, Blackthorne starts to navigate the completely alien Japanese feudal society. So let me get right to the point. I think this is a good show, maybe even very good, but as a book fan, I can't help but feel a tiny ting of disappointment that it's not equally phenomenal. I do think there are things missing. A lot of the internal context from the internal monologues, some background details of the political conflict happening, many subplots with secondary characters, nuance here and there. I felt the culture shock that Blackthorne experiences has been developed better in the book. And also, somehow it felt a little bit grander in scope in the novel. Now, listen, technically, all these things are here in the TV show as well. There is nuance, and there is culture shock, and politics, and war. But the reality is, it's impossible to fit an 1100-page book into 10 episodes of a TV show without cutting stuff down, without trimming it. So I accept that we probably still got the best product we did, and you know, in the end, the show is good, although it's not perfect in my mind. And I did enjoy it. I think it's mature and intelligent, doesn't spoon feed the audience and lets you figure stuff out by yourself. The performances are great across the board. My favorite was Tadanobu Asano as Yabushige. I think he brings a lot of depth to a potentially unlikable character, and he made him easily my favorite of the entire show. I think he's definitely a scene stealer. I love the costumes and production design, all the weapons, houses, clothes, the customs, such as the tea ceremony that is happening in one of the episodes. All of that looks really great and apparently is very period accurate. I also read that the Japanese that they use and speak is also completely accurate for the period. It's apparently very different than the modern version, which, you know, some people online compared to it being like Shakespeare's English to modern English. My one criticism would be that without the internal monologue of Toranaga, we spend a lot of the show being sort of left in the dark and frustrated that he's seemingly doing nothing and letting himself be outmaneuvered by his enemies. And of course, you do get the sense that he might have some sort of plan going on and will win in the end. But it does feel like for too long we're not privy to that plan. I will say though that it does lead to my favorite scene in the entire show, the final scene between Toranaga and Yabushige, where we finally get a glimpse of the man he really is. I thought that was really well written, clever, made sense within the story. So I'm kind of willing to forgive the dragging bits beforehand. I also give the show credit for ending in a similar way to the book, which seems a bit anticlimactic at first until you think it through and realize that the grand war and epic battles were never the actual point, that the story is about setting the chess pieces in motion, and once they're locked in, once we know what's going to happen, there's no need to spell it all out, to show it. It's done, it happened. So yeah, I enjoyed the show. I do recommend checking it out, and if you do like it, check out the book as well. It's 5 times better still, and a really impressive work of literature.